Ever experienced creep in your world where your professional hours bleed across into your personal time? I use the air quotes because in reality, those two facets of our world have been blurring for years, long before the pandemic. But the pandemic and the subsequent trend towards remote working certainly have blurred those lines even further. And sadly, the life part of our work life balance tends to bear the brunt. So, how do we manage our world more holistically? How can we stop viewing our world as two separate components? How can we assess and address the balance in a way that feels right to us? If you're already practicing GTD, you have the tools to do exactly that, your calendar and your next actions list. What I want to lean into is how we can use those tools more smartly. When we start our business day, we're used to diving into calendar because that's the tool that reminds us where do we have to be when. But there are many of us, when we look at calendar, that only look as far as 9 to 5. We only look at the business hours of our day. And then there's a percentage of us, after we look at calendar, that doesn't take the next step of looking at our action list, starting to assess which of these fit the free space that I have ahead of me today. Instead, we just dive right in. And that's a little like starting a journey without having mapped your way to the destination. Sure, you'll make progress, but how far and in what direction, that's less clear. So in this world where work is at home and home suffers because we can't leave work at work, how do we use GTD to help us better address the balance? Calendar and your next actions lists. We're going to use those as tools that help us orient each morning to our day more holistically. So 4 tactical, practical ideas. How do I put that to work? Number 1, in the morning when you start with calendar, don't narrow your view to the 9 to 5, to the business hours of your day. Don't just look at what calls and meetings do I have professionally. Expand your lens. Look at the whole of your day ahead. Ask also, what scheduled plans and commitments do I have personally? Secondly, then, with that view in front of you, start to assess what free space do you have ahead in the day. Again, not just in the business hours. What free space do you have in the day as a whole? Space where you could get stuff done. And then with that capacity top of mind, number 3, now I'm going to invite you open your next actions list. Again, not just your professional contexts, but open your personal lists as well. And now with that whole capacity top of mind, we can start to assess which of your personal and professional action items fit with the independent free space that you have available. And then finally, armed with that knowledge, number 4, bring it home by creating your roadmap for the day ahead. While remote working has certainly or can certainly blur the lines further in a negative way, what it also does is open opportunities for us to manage our commitments in new ways. Have a late night meeting scheduled professionally to accommodate another time zone? Let's look at what free space we have in the day where you could make a personal call or run an errand, maybe throw dinner in the crock pot. Looking to your calendar ahead tomorrow, you'd like to put the kids on the bus at 8:30, but you have to be prepped for that 9 a.m. Zoom. Let's look at our free space today and assess where does that preparation fit. Or we can look to our calendar tomorrow and ask the question, is an earlier start worth enabling the time with my littles? GTD invites us, it always has, to create a trusted system that encompasses both our personal and our professional aspects of our world. As coaches, where we see the disconnect is how we engage with those tools. We embrace the old mindset of work at work and home later on. And so when we dive into our day, we orient only to the professional hours, the professional commitments. Our personal action lists, Well, they remain to the side, closed, and pretty soon out of sight, out of mind. With just a few simple shifts, both in our mindset as well as our morning orientation behaviors, we can embrace this world of remote work and we can come out with a work life balance that really feels right for us.